Well, here's a recent acquisition, YouTube Vintage Stereo Collectors. Another Kenwood Vintage KA2500. And I've done quite a few of these over the years. They were very popular and they worked really well. Sounded better than later units. This 2500 is actually the higher wattage versus the KA2000. It says it's a 50 watt plus 50 watt. It's really about, if you look at the outputs that it uses, size of the transformer, it's really more like about 28 watts per channel, but it's great sounding wattage. Now here's what I like about this one. Nearly perfect faceplate. It's missing the light jewel, but I do have a few of those. The knobs are really excellent. No scratches, no corrosion, no nicotine, which seems to be a real problem with some of these. The lid's actually downstairs in the garage. The wood grain cover doesn't even need repainting. Cosmetically, this one is awesome. It's supposed to have had some restoration work done. What I can see is an all original unit, except for these capacitors here. These are the two output capacitors, because this is a capacitor coupled output. This is actually the second capacitor in the chain, the power supply chain, and this is the main one. This was originally a 2200 microfarad. They put in an 8600 microfarad at 50 volts. Voltage is not high enough. This amp idles somewhere around 56 to 58 volts DC, so stressing that cap. Over here we have 4700 microfarad capacitors and placed in 1000 microfarad capacitors. And then a 47 here that's actually bubbled a bit. So I don't know whether it was overheated or shorted out. It does work. Going this high in capacitance value makes no sense. It does not improve the sound. In fact, when you raise the size of the output capacitor, you color the sound. You end up with an amp that sounds muddy and dark. Now I like that to an extent, but I also like my highs. And my hearing doesn't pick up the highs as well, so the amp needs to be crystal clear. And this one, I tried it out and it does work. Has not much of a noise floor. It's quite noisy because instead of spending the money, for instance, on signal transistors, which go noisy in these, there's different transistors that they used over the years, but you know, the wedge-shaped transistors of that time do go noisy. They should be replaced. Of course, all these coupling caps, they're over 50 years old now. Looks like the outputs are okay, original outputs, which are on that heatsink. But if I were spending the money to put a few caps in, I would go in the signal path and change the transistors. I'm actually going to get rid of these because I don't know how old they are. I don't know where they came from. This one actually has a repair on it. The negative terminal broke off and it was glued on with what looks like crazy glue. You can't really see it in the video. Let me spin around here. Let's say it does work, but it doesn't sound as good as it could. They've muddied the sound. In the place of the 1000 microfarad caps, I find 2200 is the perfect balance. This one here is in the power supply. I would just go with another 1000 microfarad like the original, because it filters the power supply for the signal transistors. And interesting, it's a 35 volt cap, and this one here has about 42 volts on it. So it wasn't high enough voltage rating. This one here, I'm going to go with a 3300 63 volt cap. And that's about the right balance. I would say maximum, this is just experience rebuilding quite a few of these, is about 50% over value. You know, like, you can, some you can double. I'll show you an example here. I've got these JCCon Gold 2200s. They'll be perfect for the thousands. And here's a little elementary math on these. Basically, this is a sort of a return circuit. So on the collector side, you have your main filter cap here, and then on the output side, the emitter side, you have these two outputs. Basically, the total of these should not be more than that. I know it's oversimplifying it, but there's engineering reasons. Anyway, I'll do a little work on this and we'll do another video. Thanks for watching and listening.